Today on the Hopefulist. Think you would never forget your kids in a hot car? Think again. What one shore town is doing to get rid of pesky seagulls and finding your joy in nature.
Welcome to the Hopefulist, a daily talk show hosted by veteran broadcaster Wendy McClure. Join Wendy each day as she shares her life lessons that transformed her from perpetual pessimist to the ultimate hopefulist. The perfect morning show to get you caught up on the day's top stories while sharing insights that will lead to positive transformation and bring out the hopefulist in you. For more inspiration, visit hopefulist.com. And now, here's your host and hopefulist, Wendy McClure.
Good morning. It is a Taco Tuesday. It is Tuesday, August 6th. 2019. Yes, that sounded weird for some reason. 2019. Boy, oh boy, how did this all happen? 2019. So I'm running a little late today. I apologize, but thank you for joining me today on the Hopefulist. I went to the gym this morning, so yay me. Woo-woo! Wait, do I have some applause? Yay me. I went to the gym today. Oh, thank you. Oh. You're too much, really. It's enough. Stop. No, stop. Really, stop. Okay. Oh, that was so nice. Thank you. On my way to the gym, when I get off the Garden State Parkway, I come up to this light, which is almost always red, but I have to turn left there, and there are two left turning lanes, and then there are two straight lanes. And I pulled up in the most right-hand left lane to turn, because then I immediately turn right once I make the left onto the road. So I always get into that far left lane or the inner left lane, however you want to call it. And then there was a cop in front of me, which is fine. There was a car next to us that was in the straight lane. He's sitting there. The light turned fairly quickly. I really didn't sit there that long. And then the car that's in the straight lane turns left right in front of the cop. And I'm thinking, are you some sort of idiot? Like, why would you do that? So the cop literally had to slam on his brakes. And I'm thinking, did he not see that was a cop? Did he decide at the last minute that that's where he needed to go? Like, it just was baffling to me that somebody did this to a police officer. So like I said, in order to get to where I was going, the next right turnoff you can make is where I was going. And the cop got behind him, and he also turned into, I assume he was probably going to the gym as well, because it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and nothing else was open. So the cop follows him into the parking lot for the gym, and then once he starts, like, looking for a spot or whatever, he turned his lights on. So I had to go all the way around the parking lot in order to avoid that, and then I get my spot. And the cop was driving off by the time I even got into the gym. So he clearly let him go. I don't know why. Maybe it was another cop. Maybe it turned out he knew him. Maybe it was a joke. I don't know. But even when I went in, the guy at the desk at the gym was like, what happened there? I'm like, I don't know. He cut him off at the light, and I don't know how he got out of it, but the cop just let him go. So little excitement this morning before my workout. So I do apologize for being a little late if anybody's noticed. So we do have a lot to get to today. I am going to be talking about on my blog post, Finding Joy in Nature. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up in just a little bit. I wanted to talk about something a little bit serious because I came across this article yesterday, and I thought it was very interesting because I have sort of a real life story to compare it to. This is a story that's on Consumer Reports, and it says anyone could forget kids in hot cars. Now, most people would say I would never do that, but they're saying that it's kind of a brain issue. The research shows that two parts of a person's working memory. There's a perspective part and a semantic part. Perspective memory helps us remember to do something in the future, while semantic allows drivers to make the trip from work to home on autopilot, where they arrive without even remembering the clear details of how they got there. Like, did you ever do that? Like, you get to work and you're like, I'm not really even sure how I got here. Perspective and semantic memories work together to help us make changes to our routines. including things like drop off the baby at daycare, stop for groceries on the way home. And when the working memory fails, such as when you're distracted or stressed, that's when these things happen. Now, he gave examples of situations where critical safety steps can be overlooked, such as a surgeon leaving tools in a patient, a pilot not setting the wing flaps for landing, and caregivers forgetting there's a baby in the car. They say that we have to accept the fact that our brain multitasks. And as part of that multitasking, the awareness of a child can be lost. We have to accept that the human memory is flawed. That includes when loving, attentive parents lose awareness of their children when they are in a car. I have a story from when I was a child, and my father used to take me to, I believe it was nursery school. So, I mean, I was pretty young, and I do remember this specifically, which is odd because I don't remember anything from my childhood. But my father used to drop me off at, we called it nursery school. I guess now it would be daycare. So I was probably about 4 or 5 because I started first grade when I was 5 because I was a super smarty when I was a kid. I don't know what the hell happened, but I was supposed to be a real smarty. Yeah, that's right. Fluffing up my feathers a little bit. But I'm joking. You know that. So I don't know if this will come as a shock to you, but I was a very talkative kid. I never shut the heck up. And my dad drove a pickup truck. So I sat next to him. No seatbelt, I don't think either. No seatbelt or anything. We just sat in the pickup truck. So I sat next to him. I was probably by the window. And I just talked so much. This one day, I had a new pair of pants on. And the pants had little men on them. Like just probably little cartoon men. And I just remember being fascinated with these pants for some reason. And I remember I was taking my finger and tracing the men on my pants, all the different men on my pants. I was just tracing them with my finger. So I wasn't talking and I wasn't saying anything. And at one point I look up, my dad is literally pulling in to his work. And I just went, Dad, where are you going? And he says, oh my gosh, you're so quiet. I completely forgot you were in the car. Okay, I was sitting right next to him. This is one example of how something like that can happen. I mean, imagine if I would have been in the back and I would have, say I fell asleep. I just think that these things happen. Tragic, horrific, and I think it's a shame how many parents judge other parents for it. I've seen the comments where, they have this app now that's going to, or they say to put something important in your back seat to remind you that your kid is there, like your purse or your phone or something like that. And people are like, something important? Like your kid's not important? Yeah, well, stop judging. These people have lost a child. Oh, I don't know. People are so judgmental. So the point of this article was that it could happen to anybody. So just keep that in mind before you judge. I just thought it was funny because I do specifically remember that story with my dad. And I was sitting right next to him. And clearly he forgot me. He was pulling into his work. And I was right next to him. So anyway, moving on to some other fun stuff. Ocean City, New Jersey, looking to chase those seagulls right out of their town. Yeah, this is what they're doing. They've hired a company that will release hawks, falcons, and owls every day over the boardwalk to try to get this seagull problem under control. Apparently, they're going to chase them off. I guess they're not going to eat them. That would not be a good sight for the boardwalk, especially Ocean City, known for its family-friendly atmosphere. Come to the boardwalk, watch a hawk scoop in and kill a seagull right in front of you on the boardwalk. That's right. Nobody else can claim that. I'm guessing that they don't really attack them. They just scare them. I'm guessing. Or else, like I said, it might be a bloodbath. Who knows what's going to happen? But they're serious. They want these seagulls to stop. They're saying these seagulls are so super aggressive at this point, people can't walk up and down the boardwalk at all with food, that they're just like attacked practically. Yeah, it needs to be taken be brought under control because it really is a problem. Like I said, I can't stand the seagulls. They ruin everything. I'm telling you, I'm going to go out and I feed the ducks. Seagulls come swooping in, and I'm like, nope, I'm not dealing with these. Because they do. They'll fly right into your head. Like, they don't care. So I hope that this works for Ocean City. I will keep you posted to see if it's doing any good and to see if there's any attacks that they're not counting on. I'm assuming that is out of the question, or else they wouldn't be doing this. That's what I'm assuming. You know what happens sometimes when you assume, though. So speaking of shore towns, that's happening in Ocean City. I thought it might be cool to ask a question about your favorite shore town. And I've got these new picture apps and all this stuff, and I'm doing some really funky looking pictures and stuff. So make sure you check out my Hopefulist page. Just go on to Facebook. I have the page, The Hopefulist, and also a group page. You do need to ask to join the Hopefulist group page, which I will approve it immediately. And the other page is probably a little more active, just the page that you like. But look them both up. Also on Instagram, _Hopefulist. Lots of cool pictures up there as well. But I have a nice little picture of a starfish. That's like my signature, aside from my kissy lips. Love starfish. I have starfish everywhere in my house. What shore town is your favorite? It's right on the beach with the wave coming up, a little bit of foamy water about to cover the starfish. So I wanted to know what your favorite shore town is. When I was growing up, we predominantly went to Sea Isle City because my uncle had a house there. Now, it was not cool to go to Sea Isle City when I was growing up. In fact, most people went to Wildwood. And I was made fun of a lot for going to Sea Isle City. It was known as an older crowd, older people living in that town. It was called Senile City way back in the day. Now, it changed around at some point, and I remember going there in my college years, and it was a different area of town. Like my uncle lived all the way up at like Townsend's Inlet by the bridge, which is a little quieter, and then all the way down in like the 30th Street, 41st Street, and all that stuff. That's where, there's a couple of clubs and stuff, and I had gone down there one time with some friends, and there was just people everywhere, walking in and out of the bars and just crowded. I just was amazed. I'm like, this is not the Senile City that I remember. But I always liked Sea Isle City. And, when we would go with our friends, we would go to Wildwood because Wildwood was the cool place to go. We were from the Philly area. We always went to the South Jersey beaches. And so those were the two that we always went to. When I was looking into a job in this area the first time around, that's when I discovered LBI. I still don't know why more people in Philly don't come to LBI. It's closer, for one. And obviously, LBI is my favorite town because that's where I chose to move and live full time. I just love LBI. I think it's just a perfect little beach town. It's a nice mix of people, the locals, and then we have, some of the tourists are a little higher end. We've got some really expensive houses on LBI. And, some people are really snooty and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, people are pretty nice. So I wanted to hear from you. My cousin Jim says LBI, of course, because he comes to visit me. And he always says whatever he thinks people wants to hear. But he said with a side of Miller Lite. And then he joked. He said, I know people. Yes. That is because my friend Tracy puts everything that I ask with a side of Ultra. So I responded to Jim saying, see what you've done, Tracy? So Lynn says, Corova Beach, the Outer Banks. I have to agree. I have been there. It's very nice. I like it a lot. I don't like driving up the beach. We have to drive 8 or 9 miles on the actual beach to get to the house that my brother and sister-in-law typically stay at. And yeah, it can be nerve-wracking as all heck. So that's the one part I'm not crazy about, but beautiful, beautiful beaches in the Outer Banks. The great thing about there, too, is you can take the dog.